My water's running out. Gotta conserve it. Morning, everybody. Ooh, what day is it? Friday, December 27th. So 3 days, no, let's say 5 days left to New Year's. Oh my God. Could you imagine? I barely I mean, 2019 just flew by like a breeze. I didn't know what happened to 2019, man. Barely felt it. Um, So let's talk a bit about today's season finale of, sorry, it's my phone, of The Mandalorian. I woke up late. I apologize. Last night I stood up late. So that's the consequence. When you stay up late, you wake up late. But it was awesome. This episode was so action packed. But by the way, my friend Jared Buckendall, who's on the East Coast, already reviewed today's episode. So make sure you go check out his channel for his talk of the Mandalorian season finale as well. Um, yeah, it was action packed. By the way, this video contains spoilers, so heads up, spoiler alert. I think what is so cool about today's season finale is that many of our questions got answered, right? Um, as far as Mandalorian's name, we got to see Pedro Pascal's face. Granted, he's all beat up and bloodied. You know, it's not the usual sexy Pedro Pascal that you saw in Game of Thrones or Narcos. And he's going blonde. He's going blonde for that Wonder Woman sequel. That's interesting. But we got to see his face, his name. We got to see his background. You know, a little bit more about what happened when he was a kid, and the bounty hunters. That are like Boba Fett helping him out. We got to see what else we got to see today. Oh, we got to see IG-11, the hunter robot that turned protector, the hunter turned protector droid, uh, doing his duty to the fullest. And we got to see some cool humor. I think Taika Waititi, who directed today's episode, did a fantastic job. I was a little bit worried because I don't get me wrong, I love Taika Waititi, okay? I love his movies, but I hated Thor Ragnarok because I thought Thor Ragnarok uh, played it too silly, instead of. So it's not really. What I meant to say is that Thor 1 and Thor 2 had that Shakespearean kind of drama, the Nordic god. But Thor 3, Thor Ragnarok was just straight up comedy. It felt like, wow, you weren't following the previous installments here. The tone is way off, at least in my opinion. So I was a little worried, but Taika Waititi did a fantastic job. And of course, it's written by Jon Favreau, who is a great storyteller. So the structure was they had in this episode, it was a standoff, right? Standoff, and then we got to see freaking IG-11 burst into action, and then we get to see them in the sewers, and then with that blacksmith again, and on the lava ride. It was fantastic. It was very well structured, well spaced, and it seems that it was staged in a way that, of course, the ultimate goal was to have Mandalorian battle Moff Gideon. I didn't know that was going to be in the air, but you knew that was going to happen. You knew it's like, okay, these two have got to like freaking duke it out, man. So that's what happens. So I love it. It was so great. My favorite moment would have to be when Carl Weathers uh, he told Baby Yoda, do the magic hand thing. He went like this, do the magic hand thing, and then Baby Yoda's like, because it is kind of convenient though when you have somebody with Jedi power like Baby Yoda, because he stopped that freaking fire, right? By the way, flamethrowers, my favorite kind of weapon. I've been a big fan of flamethrowers since freaking I don't know, The Thing and all those movies that have him. Um, so it is kind of convenient, right? When you have somebody who with the Jedi power like freaking Baby Yoda, you would want, or the expectation is like, okay, come on, Baby Yoda, you have this thing in you, just save us like that scene in The Hobbit at the end of the Hobbit movie where the the giant eagles just swoop in and save the guys, right? Come on, just do that already. Well, why can't you do that? So I get it. I get um the motivation, I guess you could say, right? The desire to like just turn to Baby Yoda and just go like rescue us, do the magic hand thing already. Oh my God, it's funny. Because when Pedro Pascal, when the Mandalorian got hurt, I was thinking the same way too. Like, can't Baby Yoda just heal him? Use that freaking the new power of the Force to heal people. Just use that. It's so convenient to just turn to Baby Yoda every single time. Um, quick comment though. I was wrong. I told you guys, I think last week, that I thought that the hunter turned protector IG-11 droid would become Mando's droid. I thought that in season two, Mandalorian, now that his mission is to find the foundling, his race, um, I thought that he was gonna do that with his droid IG. I thought it was gonna be like the dynamic of like Han Solo with Chewie, friends. I mean, by the end of today's episode, you can even tell that Mando's like so concerned for IG. I was so worried and so sad. It's like, no, don't die. I need you. And he said that a couple of times. He said, I need you a couple of times. Like, wow, that came out of Mandalorian's mouth. This macho guy who hates droids. Now he's like, I need you. um, so I thought that was gonna happen. I was like, okay, so it's gonna be IG with Mandalorian, you know, gonna search the galaxy for the foundlings race. That would be season two. But no, they just had to kill off IG. It was a heroic death. Granted, it was very climactic, given that. But I was a little bit disappointed. Part of me is like, oh man. And the title is Redemption, right? The title is Redemption, not just for IG, but redemption for all the other characters as well. And I thought that redemption also kind of meant second chances, that we're gonna see IG and freaking Mando, um, and Mando's perception of droids changed within this episode because of IG. I thought it was gonna like spill over to second season, but boy was I wrong. Boy was I wrong. But that was a cool death though, man. That was a very glorious death. That was the IG's death was like the definition of going out in a blaze of glory, right? So fantastic, very well done. I love how in the middle of that standoff, right? They got cornered in that bar, uh, and Moff Gideon's troopers were fixing up their, biggest, baddest weapon, and Moff Gideon was like ranting about what the weapon can do, and they were set up. They were set up. The weapon was like, okay, we're ready. We're ready to blast this thing to kingdom come. It was funny to me how all of a sudden it sort of like the time stopped in order to give Mandalorian his background story. You know how he got saved by the Mandos. So it's like, okay, it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna stop this whole scene, this intense standoff, just for this story. He was just standing there telling Kara and Carl Weathers about his I'm sorry, Gina Carano and Carl Weathers about what happened to him when he was a kid. And then we also got to know that Mandalorian is not a race; it's a creed. Um, which kind of answers the question of, I don't know if you know this, but there are discussions online asking like, okay, when they call him Mando, is that a racial slur? You know, kind of like, you know, I don't want to say N or C word, whatever other races would be. It's like, is Mando a racial slur? Is Mando offensive to the Mandalorian? Um, it's not, because it's not a race. You know, it's not. It's a creed, and I think you can. It depends on the intention of why you say it. You know, when the troopers, you know, come to the blacksmith, it's like, hey Mando, where are they? Right. So that is when they say Mando, it's like looking down on that person. You know, like dehumanize them. But Mando could also be endearing, I suppose. You know, if Carl Weathers' character calls Mandalorian Mando, you know, it doesn't mean insulting. So where it comes from, you know, the intention of the person saying it, I think that matters. But as the word itself is not necessarily a racial slur because the Mandalorian is not a race; it's a creed. So now we know. uh, by the way, side note: that healing power by Baby Yoda that was revealed last week. Remember that when Baby Yoda healed Carl Weathers. Um, the timing of that revelation was kind of perfect, and I understand why Disney Plus and Lucasfilm times the Mandalorian this way, because that healing power, the new power of the Force, if you will, was also part of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. You know, with freaking Ray healing the snake, Ray healing Kylo Ren. So if that episode last week happened, I don't know, a week prior to the arrival of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, it would probably spoil the fun for all of us. So the timing was just right. Um, so back to today's episode. Oh, so great! Another action packed. The last time there were that many shootouts was episode 1, right? When IG was still the hunter and then Mandalorian. Before they discovered the package, they were like blasting their way through the whole place. It was just great, man. It was so This whole season is just epic. It really plays to the Western fan in all of us. And it's got flamethrowers in today's episode. Ah, I love flamethrowers. um, and kudos to Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Moff Gideon. Man, he's such a badass villain, man. So and I'm glad that he survives at the end, because I don't know about you guys, but I want to know more about him. I want to know more about this Moff Gideon, more than just what we see in today's episode or these couple of episodes. You know, because right now he's still kind of, even though Mandalorian already kind of tells Carl Weathers and Gina Carano, hey, I know that guy. He's Moff Gideon. He's this and this and this. But we need to see that. I want to see that. um, we got to see Mandalorian's background, but not much of Moff Gideon. It was just something that kind of, it was uttered, it was spoken to, by freaking the Mandalorian, but I want to know more about Moff Gideon. I think he's a fantastic villain. I'm glad that he's gonna spill over the second season. So it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. Overall, fantastic season. I'm saddened that it was only 8 episodes. There were only 8 episodes, but I'm glad that today's season finale was about 46 minutes long, which is probably the one of the longest episodes of this entire show. I would say average wise, it's been like 37, 30, 35 minutes long. So it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. Season 2 is gonna be fantastic. All right. I think I'm done here. and I'm gonna go get some breakfast. And then later today, I will be posting um, my top 10 list, top 10 best movies of 2019, my top 10 worst movies of 2019, and then my top 10 most anticipated of 2020, movies of 2020. So make sure you go check out that list or those lists. I will be posting them later today. All right. Uh, Rugby Kaori. I don't care if there's only two of you guys watching. I need to review this. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. Let's rock this.